My name is Sandra Solis, and I'm the Disability Resource Coordinator. I'm going to present on Integrated Resource Teams, or IRTs. As a Disability Resource Coordinator, we're helping people with disabilities by identifying what resources they already have in place and what resources they don't have in place but could benefit from. If consumers are working with other agencies, then we would want to make sure that we're getting that release so that we'd be able to communicate for purposes of getting a team meeting set up. The purpose of the IRT meeting is to integrate agencies. We want to work together with other agencies who are involved with the consumer and can serve as an additional funding source or support. We want to identify needs or gaps in services so that we can make any referrals as needed to agencies that can help us to fill those gaps, strengthening those services. The IRT does improve the quality of services that are provided to the consumer, and it broadens the resources that are available to them. The integrated resources are beneficial to the consumer and provides additional supports for their career goals. The quality of the services provided to the consumer is done by coordinating services with other agencies. So by making sure that the consumer has those wraparound services and that we meet as many needs as we can provide, making sure that those supports are strong and in place. During the IRT meeting, while identifying those strengths and needs, we want to use a strategic approach. What works for one person may not work for another, so we want to make sure the services provided are customer-centered. The services provided will coordinate to fit the consumer's individual needs. So, for example, if consumer A is interested in continuing their education but needs assistance with getting started, then we want to complete those career assessments and give information on options and schools, training programs, and information on the FAFSA and requirements for DEI funding or other funding that might be available. If there's consumer B who does not have work experience and is not interested in going to school, then the services that are provided for consumer A would not be beneficial to consumer B. So you'd want to provide the same services to both, but you would want them to be individualized to meet their own goals. So the consumer would need to have their own individualized services. They would benefit more. For example, consumer B would benefit more from work experience or developing work skills. And during that IRT, a developed strategy to meet the consumer's needs could be maybe the DRC or yourself covering costs for a job coach while the other provider covers costs for clothing or any other needs that are needed to be met. Some of the common barriers that consumers have to employment are due to physical or mental disabilities. They may have limitations as to what duties they're physically capable of performing, so there may be a need to accommodate or work around their barriers. There are individuals who have mental health disabilities, like maybe social anxiety or depression, and it can make it difficult to work in certain environments. Criminal history can make it difficult. Felonies make it difficult getting a job. So those would be some things that we would want to take into consideration. Other barriers could be substance use, financial needs, a lack of education, not having clothing for an interview or for a job. So we would want to make sure that when we're having our meeting that we're strategically approaching these barriers so that we'd be able to give them a stronger success or stronger chance at success. The integrated resource team usually consists of 2 or more service providers, and we all usually have the same goal in common, and that's to help the consumer achieve their goals and obtain employment or an education that'll eventually lead to employment and a chosen career pathway, eventually helping them to achieve self-sufficiency. Thank you.